Our CEO saw the need for multifamily to have a solution for package management. They really aren't prepared to handle the e-commerce surge. So their property management teams become package management teams, not leasing teams, not resident support teams. You can go into the Fetch app and you can get Gatorade, a Red Bull, chips, Cascade, Tide. Now imagine you can order that and the prices will beat Costco, H-E-B, and GoPuff. And imagine you didn't have to tip and you didn't have to pay a fee. You just pay for what you buy. If you think about China, they're making AI education mandatory. I forget the age, like 6 and above, I think mandatory. If you're not on the front edge of this and you're not risking and jumping out there, you're going to be quickly left behind.
We're probably 10 years away from the super intelligence that we're creating. And what happens when we're no longer the apex predator?
This is George Shultz, CEO of Fetch Package, and you're watching Last2First.
In the last mile world, we value technology that looks good but doesn't get the job done. That's why different is different. Built by courier pros with over 35 years of real-world operational experience. Sorting freight, dispatching drivers, missed scans. They built the technology platform that they always needed. You get lightning-fast dispatching and routing, a driver app that eliminates confusion and adds visibility. Back office automation and tools from on-demand to air freight, all in one place. Need proof? Their courier business grew 300% in just 3 weeks without any new hires and managing 150 drivers. Ready for tech that gets it? Visit deliverdifferent.com and book your demo today.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to our next episode on the Last2First Podcast, where we bring you the latest, the greatest, the information that's happening and moving this last mile delivery industry from last to now first in today's supply chain. Joining with me today is another special guest. We have someone in the building that's bringing a little bit of twist to the final mile aspect of the world. I did a little homework, and we're going to do something a little different this episode, where we're going to bring you someone who's doing last mile, but in a different environment or application than what you may have seen before. So I'm welcoming and glad to have with me today Mr. George Shultz, who's the COO of Fetch Package. George, welcome to the podcast.
Jason, thanks for having me here. Excited to talk. Last mile and everything else related. So excited to be here.
Thank you for being here. So the way we got here was I've been hitting you up a couple of times on LinkedIn to try to get your attention.
Yep.
And I saw you guys announce a recent new service for Fetch Package. We'll get into that in a second.
Sure.
But I was just intrigued when I kind of started to do some homework on the business as to how you guys are delivering final mile solutions in a multifamily apartment complex environment.
Right.
So that's what brought us here today. But before we get into the details of that, give us a little bit of the sense of growth, the aspect of where Fetch Package came from and where it is today.
Yeah, so the background of Fetch, Michael Patton, our CEO, was in Dallas and saw the need for multifamily to have a solution for package management, and he spun up Fetch Package. And the idea is very simple: multifamilies, buildings, they really aren't prepared to handle the e-commerce surge. So their property management teams become package management teams, not leasing teams, not resident support teams. So the whole idea of Fetch Package is to remove property management from the package problem. So if you look at lockers, you look at mail rooms, you look at front desks in properties, what you will see is a little bit of chaos. You got stacks of package, you have resident frustration, you have porch piracy, you have all the issues that any traditional carrier can have, but really condensed in that front lobby or mailroom or package room area. And it is a frustration pain point for residents and property management companies alike. So we sell to the property management companies, and the residents are our end user customers, is the way we like to phrase it. And the whole idea is to take the pain points away from the multifamily.
Yeah. So when was the business initially founded? So you mentioned that.
We just hit 9 years.
Okay. 9 years.
So
okay.
We're proudly celebrating 9 years, and I joined a little over 5 years ago. I was at Amazon at the time, and had reached the point where I was ready to make a career change, and took a few weeks off, and I met the executive team at Fetch, and we were in a little house on Rosewood.
Okay.
And I met Boone Putney, our CTO, Michael Patton, our CEO, and Aaron Anderson, our CFO, and immediately felt a connection.
Yeah.
And the idea is so simple, it just makes sense.
Yeah.
My background with FedEx, delivering to multifamily apartment homes, is a pain point for the carriers as well. So it immediately resonated with me. immediately had a respect for the team and what they'd done and their backgrounds, and just felt a connection and joined the team. So January of 2021.
Okay, excellent. And then how large is the business today? What cities, major markets you operating in today?
Yeah, so we've grown it to over just at 40 locations across the U.S. and 25 major markets. So if you think, Miami, Dallas, we're in Seattle, Chicago.
Yeah, the big MMAs.
All big metros, if you think about those sites. Of course, Atlanta, we have several sites. So we have several locations. My belief is you want smaller locations close to your customer. I don't want a mega location in Atlanta and then have to drive all over Atlanta to get to our customer. So our average warehouse is 7.6 miles from our residence.
Okay. So I read that it's over north of 200,000 plus residents that you're servicing, maybe more.
Close to 400,000.
400,000. Wow. Okay. So my dad was a little old. Okay. Yeah. So 400,000 residents. When you service them, so my first thought is this happening at the site, at the actual property, or are you actually managing all the inbound freight and things off site and then bringing it in?
It's a great question. So when we contract with the property, the residents will update their receiving address to our warehouse address, and we give them a unique identifier code. The resident will download the Fetch app, and when we receive their package, so your New Balance, your New Balance fan.
Yeah.
So your New Balance arrive, you'll get an update on your app says, Jason, your New Balance are here, schedule your delivery. So we have multiple windows that they can choose a delivery window to deliver when they're home, or they can select first available window. Wow. So, 97 to 98% of our volume delivers same day.
Okay.
But if you're out of town on a business trip and you don't want it delivered, we'll be glad to hold it for you. So you don't have to fight through that problem.
Interesting.
Inclusive of oversize. So that, unlike a lot of carriers, we also handle oversize. So if you're ordering from Wayfair, for instance, or you've got a huge order from Chewy, so that your dog food shipments, things like that, we handle oversize as well.
I want to thank you for taking this ride on the Last2First journey with us. In 6 months, we've achieved over 200,000 views across all our platforms. We're humbled and thankful for your support. But I do have one small favor to ask. Take 5 seconds, hit the like button or subscribe. Just like your on-time performance metric, this one matters to us the most. It helps us attract better guests and bring you deeper content to help propel you on your Last2First journey. And if your brand aligns with our mission, reach out to us. We'd love to find ways to partner and work together. Now back to Last2First.
I just ordered some dog food last night.
Dog food is remarkably difficult to handle in the supply chain.
It is. And I live in a townhome community right now. And so I've had some challenges with larger, parcels coming in, or so they're not being there and things get left at the doorstep, or want to get left at the doorstep, but I'm not there. So they take it back to the hub. What I love about what you said is that every resident downloads the Fetch app.
Right.
So just got my mind going when I think about that. Adoption. Does every single one, what's the adoption rate? Because typically it's a little difficult to get, folks to download an app. How do you go about doing that part of it?
So we've got a great sales team, a great customer support team, and their mission is to get that adoption rate up.
Yeah.
So what we don't want to have happen is we secure the property and, some residents are using, some aren't. So our focus is to increase adoption and make it a part of how that building does business.
Okay.
We've got great relationships with all the major carriers. That helps. So, the interesting thing that people don't realize, Amazon, for instance, is we do some skipping of handling. We get sort center direct.
Okay.
So we'll actually get a shipment directly from their sort center. So it skips their last mile, comes to us. So some of our residents actually have a faster service with their packages than they would normally get through Amazon or another secondary carrier.
Wow, that's fascinating.
And we're continuing to develop those relationships. The closer we can get to those supply chains, and I want to get as far upstream as I can.
Yeah. And so you mentioned you sell to the property manager.
Correct.
The residents are the actual end user consumers.
That's right.
Who's paying for it?
So both the property management, there will be some pass-through fees to residents at times. So both end up at some point in that financial relationship.
Got it. And when you talk about the service, so you're zone skipping Amazon's case, right? And you can bring an expedited shipment into the residents.
Right.
What often do you find in terms of the reaction for the resident? Are they when they learn about the solution. So if I
Right.
if I I'm renting an apartment complex, I'm leasing a space out, I'm probably not aware of Fetch Package. I come in and I learn about it. Are they excited to say that I now have this new kind of advanced service?
Yeah, so it's interesting. There's a spectrum of reactions.
Yeah.
You have some that are excited because they've had that pain point. They've had the porch piracy. They can't find their shipment in the package room, or they're somewhat disabled and can't carry it to their apartment. So it's a frustration pain point. So they're super excited. You have some that are. This is my favorite. Is when you have someone that's resistant. I mean, it's not my favorite if they're not excited about us being there, but when we convert that attitude and they're like, this is great. We love it. So there's some hesitancy for some people at first because they don't know who we are. The brand recognition may not be there. The service may not be understood. So resident education is a big piece of what our customer support team as well as our sales team does on the front end.
Got it.
So that onboarding is a critical moment, and that ongoing relationship, because you have churn in residents, you have churn in property management, and keeping that education piece alive is critically important for us.
Now, the one that caught my eye on LinkedIn was the Fetch Valet Trash solution, right? So I was looking at this like, Valet Trash, like what the hell are they doing there?
Look, if you talk to all your friends and you're growing up, not a lot of people say, "Hey, I can't wait to get in the trash business." But I got to tell you, my team laughs at me because I always say trash is sexy.
Yeah.
Like,
I give one better. I went back home in New Orleans as a trash company, and their tagline is, "Our business stinks, but it's picking up."
Absolutely.
That's
fantastic. Yeah. So we identified in the market. So in multifamily, Valet Trash is an amenity service. You set the trash outside. A service provider will come through, pick it up, and take it to the dumpster for you. That was a service that was ripe for disruption. With our tech overlay, with our labor management abilities, it just was ready to go. I am so excited about what we've been able to do. We tested it in the Denver market as well as the Minneapolis market. We've had incredible success. One of my favorite quotes from a resident is, "You guys are hands down this was unsolicited. He reached out to us. You're the best trash service we've ever had, including my municipalities I've worked with. This is fantastic."
Wow.
Our people show up. They take care of the property, and they ensure they're doing a good job. And my leadership team, I'm blessed with a great team that supports me and our residents.
Yeah,
they just do a great job.
So describe
it's execution. It's just like packages. It's about managing the data. It's about creating the input so you can track your business, understand what's happening real time, and have contingencies in place to recover if there is an error.
Yeah.
The thing that we pride ourselves on. Problems are going to happen. Someone's bag will break. We will miss a door because if you ask anybody who's lived in a large community, it's confusing. The numbering systems of apartment communities can be confusing. Huge shout out to Boone Putney, our CTO, and his team. Our in-app directions and the specificity of in-app visibility for our team is second to none. So that helps. But some humans are humans, and somebody will miss a door. The speed at which we resolve that for the customer is the differentiator.
So describe it. I'm fascinated by it. Describe it in a little more detail. So I'm a resident. I put my trash out every night. Is it a nightly pickup? Does it
in
depend
some cases,
on the
7 days a week? In some cases, it's 5 days a week.
Okay.
Yep.
So I place my trash outside. Do I have to notify you that it's outside, or just put it outside?
Just put it outside.
Just put it outside. So simple. And then the valet that's coming around, is this the same driver that is potentially doing the deliveries too, and they're kind of on a second leg of the shift, they're going to sweep for the trash, or is it separate teams?
Yeah, right now separate teams. So we're keeping those labor channels separate. So it's a W-2 Fetch employee right now.
Okay.
We'll continue to explore that as we scale the business, and I'm proud to say it's scaling now, and we're launching 6 new locations across the service platform. Excellent. So we're excited about that. We may adjust that as we go.
Okay.
Right now it's working, but we're going to we always iterate. We're always going to change. We're always going to look at ways to improve. So we're going to test out some part-time models. We've got some full-time models now. We'll continue to test on that.
Okay. And you mentioned it's a separate team. So am I okay assuming that on the Fetch package side, you're using 1099s, independent contractors, or is it kind of a hybrid?
It's a hybrid. So we have our own W-2 drivers, and we have a fleet. We have a 65-vehicle fleet.
Okay.
But we also 94% of our deliveries are managed by a 1099 platform.
Excellent. Okay. And you mentioned, so you've just kind of piloted the first market for the Valet trash, but you're quickly expanding and rolling it out.
We have 2 markets live, and we've got 6 launching.
Okay. All right. And then there's one more service. That wasn't enough to keep the resident and the property manager sticky.
We have a few more.
A few more, okay.
We have one you may not know about.
All right, well, that's why we're here. The one I do know about is the storage solution. So tell me about what that solution is.
It's so simple. It's brilliant. We have containers. We bring them to the resident fills it up, and we take them away. It's sealed, so the resident has, certainty that, they're sealing it themselves with a number, so they know that's their seal, and they track it. If they want to have us bring it back 2 days, we'll bring it back in 2 days. If they want us to bring it back the next day, we'll bring it back the next day. If they want us to bring it back 5 times, we'll do it 5 times. So again, our mission is to make the residents' experience great.
Yeah. So containers, small storage bins, not the big pods like we
have small, medium, and really large.
Okay. Wow.
I think Christmas tree size.
Yeah.
Big.
Okay. And so they fill them up, and you just take them back to your warehouse location nearby, and you manage it. Yep. And I'm assuming the resident pays directly for that piece of it.
Correct. Resident pays directly for that.
Okay. Yeah. Fascinating. All right. What else? What else you got?
Have you heard about Fetch Market?
I have not.
Super excited about this. Imagine you live in an apartment.
Okay.
And you get a notification that your package is coming, or you don't even have a package coming, but you can go into the Fetch app and you can get Gatorade, a Red Bull, chips, Cascade, Tide, toilet paper, paper towels, a case of water. So we have a market live in Austin, and we've made that available to the Austin market.
Okay.
And now imagine you can order that, and the prices will beat Costco, H-E-B, and GoPuff. And imagine you didn't have to tip and you didn't have to pay a fee. You just pay for what you're buying, and we bring it to your door.
All right, wait, back that up. Because GoPuff is something, I remember GoPuff when it came out. There was a service when I was in college coming out that maybe doing something like this for the kids in the dormitory. This is another level. So I can order any kind of convenience item I want from the app. Right. It's delivered on demand, I'm assuming, right now?
We'll deliver it during those delivery windows.
Okay, during the window. Okay.
So we have
it's not
delivery windows throughout the day, and we'll bring it during whichever window you schedule it for.
Got it. So it's kind of more like your grocery order, not necessarily Uber Eats on demand.
Not on demand, but real time during that window that you're home.
Wow. And if I can ask, how are you behind the scenes? How's this happen? What's happening behind the scenes? How you guys executing this? I don't want to get
easy. There's nothing to it.
Yeah, right.
Look, when you launch something like this, you rely on your history with other companies. So having that background with Amazon and FedEx certainly helps. But you've got to get the right permitting. You've got to. Everything is a process. Everything requires a permit, which we're very laser focused on doing it in compliance in the right way. So you literally have to build it out. You create basically a little market in your warehouse.
Yeah.
And we've got coolers for the cold stuff, and so temperature regulation matters, and the tech. Our product team, Austin Wagner, shout out to Austin. He has done a phenomenal job. Tony Schmitz on our operations team has done a phenomenal job managing this. So it is about inventory cycles. It's about ensuring products in stock. It's about rotating that product, making sure expiration dates are managed. So all the things that you would have to do in a management process for a market, you're doing in your own warehouse.
Yeah, I had a little bit of experience with this back in my day. We were managing inventory. It wasn't kind of perishable, so we had to deal with expiration dates, but it was inventory for it was the regional bus system back in New Orleans was selling bus passes or passes to streetcars, and we managed the inventory, and someone would order at the e-commerce site. We fulfilled these orders for them. But that was a whole different side of the business I had never managed before. Inventory management, that's not as simple as you think it is, right?
Cycle counts can be challenging.
Yes. And then you have, consumers. I was, dealing with more B2B sales in that case, but you have consumers, which we all know we love them. We're consumers too, but the flip side of that is you make one bad delivery, they're online and they're damaging your brand potentially.
Sure.
How has that service rolled out? How's it been effective? What's been the feedback in the marketplace?
It's literally near perfect.
Wow.
We've had one order mistake since we've been doing this. Our inventory is 100%. The team just doesn't make mistakes on the inventory. So the order accuracy, the timeliness of the orders has been fantastic. The feedback from the market has been what you'd expect. No fees, no tipping, good selection. People are like, it's too good to be true. We don't believe it because they're used to DoorDash, they're used to Uber Eats, they're used to, they get a $12, order and it's $40 with taxes and fees and everything else, and with no hidden fees, and we clearly stated on the site, no tipping, no fees.
And I gotta imagine too, by the way you design the network, the residents probably seeing the same person or persons consistently, maybe in that complex doing multiple things.
Pattern. Absolutely.
So there's some familiarity that's built there, some trust. Obviously, you're entering someone's residence where they live at, so that's a big thing. I know even now. Last night I ordered Uber Eats for my kids. I was at the grocery store getting groceries. Didn't have time to come home and cook. So I ordered Uber Eats and I send my son outside. I'm like, stay on the phone the whole time with me. Let's make sure, everything's good. You kind of eliminated some of that because there's a familiar face coming into the complex.
Yeah. And the relationship we have with the property management teams, we have that access to the properties. We have the ability to get in. We have the ability to navigate the properties. Our teams know how to navigate the properties. So it takes away that frustration of having to go meet the driver outside.
Got it.
Story time with drop-off. The lab test that just couldn't wait. A hospital system needed a delivery fast. The patient was prepped, the doctors were waiting, and time was just not on their side. Enter drop-off. Drop-off showed up with the certified driver, temperature-controlled equipment, and live updates along the way. That wasn't just moving a package, it was saving a life. And that's the type of reliability that Drop-Off brings in 35 plus markets across the US. Powered by smart technology, but always with people and drivers who care. Turn this story into your reality. Visit dropoff.com today.
Got it.
We bring it to the door.
So that's Fetch Marketplace.
Yeah.
You got something else on your sleeve?
Student housing. So off-campus student housing.
Student housing.
So there's, as you know, there's an entire market of off-campus student apartments and student housing. So Dan Berry on our sales team has been spearheading that. Michael Patton, our CEO, gets involved in that. Jack Lindell, our senior VP of sales, is involved in that. But we've really gotten some solid traction with student housing.
Were you doing the same service, just at a residence that's maybe the students rent out nearby campus?
Yep. So student housing is a big piece of the future state. Excited to announce we're going to launch Tallahassee next month.
Oh,
so FSU.
Yeah.
So FSU will have Fetch services for those student housing, off-campus student housing market.
So
we're excited about that.
That's phenomenal.
That'll be a 41st site.
Have you guys ventured into any? I'm thinking, I'm somewhat familiar in the East Coast or Chicago. These big high-rise buildings.
Yep, we're in Chicago.
These intercept services. So where mostly for office buildings. They would have like a interceptor or a messenger center downstairs, kind of do the same fulfillment model. Have you guys ventured into the B2B space with this? It's all been more residential so far.
It's residential. We've discussed it. We've been asked. We're sticking to our core right now. But the reason I'm part of Fetch and the reason I love working with Fetch and this team is it's not going to, tomorrow won't be what it was today. We're going to continue to look for ways to partner with B2B, possibly anything else we can do for the consumers. We're excited to do that as well in terms of the resident consumer, as well as a property management company. So we're always looking for ways to iterate.
Yeah. All right, so I'm going to change gears a little bit. I'm sitting here talking to you. First time we met, I'm very impressed. Your polish, your experience, this stuff. Where's this come from? What's your background? How'd you get into this space? Where give us some flavor for George, the 101 of those. Yeah, the origin story. Yeah.
So, freshman year of college, I'm in a marine science class. My freshman year of college is 1987, so people can do the math. The guy sitting next to me I met, Lewis Hornsby, still friends with Lewis to today. He was working at the time it was called RPS, so FedEx Ground.
Yep.
Said, hey, I need help at a warehouse now. You want to make some extra money? And I said, sure. I never left.
They sucked you in.
And I subcontracted as a janitor. So I was a janitor for the place too. So I didn't just load and unload packages. I also cleaned the toilets and swept the warehouse and cleaned the office.
Wow.
I was doing anything I could to make money at the time.
Yeah,
so
hell yeah.
It was a great experience. I was blessed to have Lewis in my life. He's been a friend for a long time, back to 87. And the rest is history. When I graduated, I had a decision to either join the Marine Corps or go to work for FedEx. 91 was kind of a tight economic cycle, and FedEx had a hiring freeze on, but they said, yep, we'll make a spot for you in Charlotte. So I went to the hub. And so I worked in line haul, hub operations, inbound, outbound, line haul operations.
Yeah.
I ended up running a learning team.
A learning team.
Yep.
What does that mean?
So I transferred out of ground into FedEx Freight.
Okay.
So worked at FedEx Freight. We had a people development team.
But let me park it for one second, just for the folks that
sure.
You mentioned RPS.
Yep.
And transfer to FedEx. What year did FedEx kind of assume RPS in?
I'd have to go back.
Were you there when it happened?
I was.
You were there.
I was there when I converted over.
Okay. And was it a major change that you felt then, or was it just more of the rebrand? And
it was rebrand.
More rebrand.
Not much change.
Not much
other
change.
than
different shirts.
Got it. Relogoed. Look, eighth most recognized brand in the world, I think, at the time. So that was exciting. It was, I don't want to downplay it. It was exciting to go from Roadway Package to FedEx.
Yep.
That brand recognition matters. And it was a good experience. And I did ground, and then I was asked to join the freight team.
Okay.
When freight launched, so I joined the freight team. I spent almost 20 years at FedEx. I spent 12 years with the freight team, and during freight, had a people development team. So all the education process from onboarding, sales education, executive education, we did it all.
Yeah. You're talking about the learning management? Was it
the name of the department was people development.
Okay.
And we had this idea was use the word education, not training. You educate people, you train animals to do tricks, you educate people, you want people to understand the whys, how come, what for, why do we do it that way?
Yep.
So trying to imply a deeper level of understanding. So it was a good experience. It was great to go from operations to a support function, and then I went back to operations. So, when you go back to operations, you're like, I may have eaten my own dog food at that point. So you have to you have to do what you create and go, okay, maybe miss that a little bit. So it's a good experience. I think anytime people want to create a chance to migrate into a support function and back, I think it's a good experience.
Yeah.
You gain a deeper knowledge of what's happening.
What were the most number of people you were managing at the time at FedEx?
Probably 500-600 at the hub.
Wow.
When I left, I was running one of the largest hubs in the network. Pocono Summit, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
They had big hubs back then. They started changing that a bit to smaller, a little bit more nimble, less risk in one spot.
500-600 people. Geez, that's a lot of people.
Yeah, and not compared to Amazon.
Well, we're gonna go there next. Yeah, so you left FedEx after a 20-year career.
Almost 20.
Okay. What made you leave FedEx to go to Amazon?
We've all heard the saying before: trust but verify. But in the last mile, when you're working with agents and master contractors, verification is manual, complex, and very rarely achieved. Enter GigSafe. GigSafe solved the problem that matters to you most. They've built a new network compliance tool that ties in master contractors, agents, and carriers so they can connect, validate, and authenticate their delivery and driver networks. With automated onboarding, live compliance tracking, and insurance verification, all happening in real time. No spreadsheets, no follow-ups, no more hoping that my partners are doing it right. Just one connected platform where visibility and control are at every layer of your operation. Turn your compliance into your competitive advantage. Visit gigsafe.com today.
One of my old bosses recruited me to Central Transport. Okay. So out of Warren, Michigan, owned by the Maroon family. Matty Maroon was still around at the time. His son Matthew now runs the company. But was recruited to Central Transport to be a regional director. So I ran a region, ended up running a few different regions for them. When I did some sales work as well, so got into sales, dipped my toe in that market.
Okay.
I was in the Warren, and Maddie and the VP of sales said, we need you to go meet Gap. So literally, no idea this is happening. They hand me the folder on Gap and say, you're flying to go meet Gap. So I had to learn sales on the fly.
Meet Gap.
Yep, with Gap.
Who's Gap?
Gap Clothing.
Oh, Gap.
Yep, Gap.
GAP, Gap.
GAP, yep.
Gap. Okay, wow. So
So-
it threw you in the fire with
did.
Gap. How'd that go?
It went great. And so I stayed in sales. So I had sales and operations for a while, and did business with companies like Newell Rubbermaid, Ingersoll Rand.
Yeah.
20th Century Fox.
Okay. So big brands.
A lot of big brands. It was a good experience. Central, smaller scale than FedEx, obviously, and spent 6-8 years with Central, and was recruited to Amazon. Was asked about Amazon a couple times, said no, not interested.
What year is this?
That's a good question.
We could think a little bit here.
I have to think. I have to go back and look. 2012. I joined Amazon in 2012.
Okay. Right. This is right when Amazon was starting to kind of get into logistics.
Yeah, I was employee 24,000, something like that.
Wow.
Like 24, 25,000 in that range.
Yeah.
So it wasn't huge.
Wasn't massive
at the time, but it grew.
I mean, compared to where it is now.
When I left, there were 1.3 million people there. Yeah. So yeah, I was recruited in. I finally, agreed to join the company. Went through the interview process, which everybody tells stories about that. It's not bad. It's a good experience.
Anything unique about it that stood out?
It's behavioral based interviewing questions. Amazon's kind of known. You meet with several people, so you get an interview pod you go to. My experience was great. I enjoyed it. You're getting asked difficult questions. They want to hear the data. The best thing about my experience at Amazon is understanding the metrics of the business and the data of the business at a level most people don't ever get to.
That's their secret sauce. Yeah,
it's not so secret anymore.
Yeah,
but it is the differentiator, and it will change your world if you get good at it. So joined as a senior outbound operations senior OM.
Okay.
Went to Toll One, Coffeyville, Kansas. Just out there.
You move around a little bit.
Was impressed with the level of focus and detail at every team member, like super focused. Everybody handles their career differently. I always like to show up early. So I got there really early and wasn't sure where to go in. So I worked my way into the fulfillment center and walked right into a pit lane, powered industrial truck, into a forklift lane, had no vest on. A temporary employee, a temp associate said, hey, you can't be in here. Like you got to have a safety vest. Was super nice about it.
Yeah.
Explained it to me. This was a temporary associate. And I knew things were going to be a little different from that moment. And it was a great experience. So spent about 3 months in that role.
Okay.
Was asked to take the general manager role. So I ran that site for a while. Was asked to go to Columbia, South Carolina, CAE.
Okay.
It was a bit of a challenge site. Was asked to go there. Went there. We got it running well.
Is this Amazon? This is Amazon. What type of services were you guys executing at this point? So it's 2012, 2013.
2012. It was pure fulfillment at the time.
Fulfillment. This is not doing what we see today.
Not seeing what you do today at all.
You guys were still working with a lot of partners, outsourcing some of the middle mile, last mile.
Lacoste was one of the customers.
Okay.
So we were fulfilling from that location in Toll One, Coffeyville. And then went to Columbia. Ran that site as director for a while. I got it turned around and running well. Went into the sort center network when it was being built out. Was a regional running, multi-sites and launches in the sort center network.
Okay.
And I was at the airport flying home from a site visit and got a call from my boss, said, hey, this air team is interested in talking to you. I joined Air. Was
Amazon Air.
Yep. Was part of the regional team that got Air underway.
This is when they first started. I remember this announcement. I can't remember the date, but I remember being big news when Amazon, I think, bought a plane network or established the first plane network.
Yep.
And it was the first rumblings of like, they're coming, What was it like on the inside of that? So what was the thought process there internally?
Well, it's all about inventory placement, right? And it's about speed of goods. It's about trying to get the cost down. So positioning goods. A lot of people will say air's a defect. If you're having to fly product, it's a defect. It means you didn't place your inventory correctly.
Yeah.
With the speed and the scale of what Amazon was doing, it was critically important to be able to have that as a solution. So 100% necessary. The thing I'll tell you about that experience is it's hard. Number one, the hours are incredibly challenging. So you're making a commitment that others really don't make.
A lot of stuff happens overnight. A lot of these air movements.
It just never stops. It
yeah.
literally, like Amazon, just, you go on the app and you just buy it and click. It puts a whole thing into motion that people just don't understand. More and more people are seeing it, and supply chain logistics, more people understand it now.
Yeah.
The average Jane and John Doe are getting their education and learning about it.
I agree. I think now more, especially with what we've seen recently with tariffs, I think it just put people in the mindset of like, I want to understand what's happening here. And you're right. That's one of the things I'm working on with the podcast, is trying to humanize this industry, right? So people really get a sense for because everything is connected to supply chain.
Connected. If you look at the Strait of Hormuz right now, the oil prices are going up for a very specific reason. Mm-hmm. So if you're watching world events, you're tracking what's happening on container movements, you're going to pay more. It's going to affect you. Tariffs will affect you. You're going to pay more. If you're buying a shirt or shoes or home goods, it likely came on a container ship.
Yeah.
Months ago, and if that gets delayed, and it creates this ripple effect, and people are getting their head around that. When the ports went on strike, people got a taste of that. Mm-hmm. COVID introduced people to it as well.
Yeah.
In the middle of COVID, the air team, we were launching new sites, and we were spinning up COVID testing locations. We did that in Baltimore, for instance, at the airfield. We had COVID testing set up in portable buildings next to the sites.
Yeah,
we just didn't stop.
Wow. Wait, when you're take me back to that early when you're joining the Amazon Air team. Mm-hmm. What are the things you're looking at, the factors you're considering as you build an air network? I've never had any experience with this. I've never been asking anyone the question. Yeah. Like, what do you from a ground standpoint, I can understand some of the dynamics, but from an air standpoint, it just seems like you have a blank sheet of paper you can play with almost. But what are you looking at?
It's not dramatically different than planning a line haul network.
Okay.
Just your line haul's flying.
Yeah.
So it's all about, positioning, location. It's about flight schedules. On the airports, if you're not building your own location, your airport selection process matters greatly because you've got a limited number of flights per day. So you have to take into consideration flight patterns of other carriers. Mm-hmm. So, your airfield and airport selection matters greatly in that whole process. And then if you think Amazon, you just have to think big in capacity. It's about how much capacity can you build at that airport.
Yeah.
In Baltimore, we built our own location. We started with a leased location, built our own location. So as the network continued to grow, it was about where can you build. Mm-hmm. And not many people understand that process isn't just you make that decision. You've got to work through the local government. You've got to work through a lot of process to get that done.
Yeah. And you also had some robotics experience at Amazon.
Yeah. So, can't say enough good about that team, by the way, out of Boston. But KFW, just north of Dallas, Arlington Airfield, is where the first robotics air hub was built. So that was part of my region at the time. There's a tremendous amount of people involved in that process. So nobody does anything, I didn't do it. This massive team of people made that happen. But it was exciting to be able to look at blueprints, to meet with the robotics team, see how they were thinking about it. I mean, it's amazing to watch it happen.
Yeah.
We're actually hundreds of robotic, we had robotic arms. We had like the old key of assist.
These are in the warehouse helping fulfill pick packages.
It's
down to probably even is it loading out? Does some outbound stuff as well happen?
It's moving container. So the robotics can also move an air container.
Okay.
So if you think of the stainless steel.
Yep.
Yeah. So Arlington was the first one. And the second was down in Lakeland, Florida, outside of Tampa. That was the second robotics. And the whole idea there was to iterate, to learn, so they could build a mega hub in CVG. So, you get up to that Kentucky area.
Yeah.
So that, if anybody gets a chance to go see that, they definitely should. It's a sight to behold. You can park over 100, aircraft there.
Yeah.
So that fleet's grown, and, kudos to that whole team that's still doing it. It was a great experience. It took a lot out of me. So I reached a point where, I was kind of done.
Yeah.
We got to do relief flights for the Bahamas when the hurricane hit.
Yeah.
That team does a lot of great activity.
Great work outside of maybe just the blocking, tackling, delivery.
Yeah.
One thing I want to ask you about, we talking a little about technology, obviously what it's meant in all your kind of career stops, Fetch Package, Amazon, even your early days with FedEx. And you talk about data. You talk about how Amazon is really, dogmatic about data. But then there's this people side of it too, right? And in a day and age right now where we're in a world of AI, so we're talking about it. I want to get your thoughts on AI and what some things you may be doing or using it for. But how do you balance every day? Yeah. But before you answer that, how do you balance, this reliance upon data and what data's telling us to do versus people? Because sometimes those two things aren't necessarily aligned together.
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I think that's a podcast. It'd be great to have like 10 people.
Yeah, debating that one.
Debating that one. I think that's a difficult one to answer. I will say this. I always believed that you could create a company and run a company very humanistically. And, what I learned cleaning toilets and sweeping the floor at FedEx in the early days is, how important it is to treat people with dignity, treat people with respect. I'm very fortunate at Fetch that we've created an environment that we treat people well. We take care of our people. I've got a great team that works with me, and we just, no matter how good you think you are, there's room to improve. I have a philosophy of safety, quality, engagement, and cost, and none are exclusive to the other. I think Akash Shawan at Amazon is who I'm stealing that from.
Okay.
So if I had
coined that one,
I think that's his, but I've used it, and I try to set up, our team to think in that manner that those four are not exchangeable. You have to deliver on all four of those. And safety, everybody gets, we've got a great, manager of safety for us. Our quality results are fantastic. Our cost results continue to improve and get better. We're looking at everything everybody in last mile looks at: cost per package, cost per stop. You look at all of that.
Yep.
We're delivering well on that expectation. Engagement for me has always been the trickiest piece of it all, because people spend millions on it and do poorly. People don't spend anything and do okay. It's a simple thing to say, take care of your people, but not all leaders have that verbal toolkit. And I've always thought of it as a verbal toolkit. When they're challenged or pushed back, how well do they handle that moment in time?
Right.
I'm embarrassed by some of the things I did as a manager when I look back historically. It takes a while to learn those things. So anything we can do to help teach that and give people those role plays. Watching a video doesn't work. Reading a book doesn't work. Everybody loves what's the latest, leadership book?
Yeah.
Well, ideally people get a nugget from that they can add to their toolkit. But if they don't practice the language and talking and interchanging with a human being, they're not going to do well. You have to give them those role play opportunities.
Yeah. Especially in the times we're in now where everyone's on their phone. More people are kind of getting more isolated due to the technology.
Absolutely.
The human side of this, like I'm so excited to hear you say that, because that's ultimately what matters. I mean, we have to be able to interact with each other on, very basic communication levels to advanced stuff that we do, and role playing, practicing, just being a human. It sounds crazy saying that nowadays, but that's kind of what practice being a human.
Well, thank you for being here today. Appreciate you being here. I mean, simple gratitude, simple platitudes throughout the day. Hey, thank you for that. Catch somebody doing something right and thank them for it. And be specific about what you saw them do that was right.
Yeah.
Hey, I saw you partnering with Joe picking that up. I appreciate you jumping in and helping. That's good. That's going to keep us safe. It's going to help keep each other safe. Thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
Be specific about the feedback.
Yeah. Talk about AI. You mentioned that you guys use it every single day. Give me some use cases. What are you doing with AI today?
Look, if you've got to weed through a mountain of data, it's remarkable what you can achieve very quickly with an AI overlay. So it's about analyzing data. It's about It's about creating an app very rapidly if you need to.
Mm-hmm.
You now have the ability as a non-technical person to create some very technical solutions.
Oh, yeah.
My opinion is, if you're not on the front edge of this and you're not risking and jumping out there, you're going to be quickly left behind.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of discussion about this right now, but if you think about China, they're making AI education mandatory. I forget the age, like 6 and above, I think, mandatory.
Yeah.
So if our school systems don't get behind it, and if we try to avoid it, we're just going to get farther and farther behind.
100%.
And when you look at companies and everybody should take a look at Figure.ai, Figure.ai, look at the robotics, which they're doing. So their robots are on the shop floor at BMW and Spartanburg in the manufacturing floor. Those robots can now sort packages. So it can take a package. This is a bipedal stand-up robot that can take a package, identify the label, and sort it.
Mm.
So all those mind-numbing roles in the fulfillment center are soon going to be robotics and AI driven. So, but in your day-to-day, whether you have to make a speech or whether you have to anything that you do repeatedly that has a repetition to it, there's some opportunity to flex AI, including whether it's your CX, so your customer experience team, having a chat bot that can filter and respond. Those are getting so good you don't know who you're talking to. It may be AI and you don't know it. It's advancing. The thing that's impressed me is the speed at which it's advancing. There's plenty of limitations. We're going to be of an age where we're going to see things happen, but it's going to take a little more time to get there. But what I don't understand is, if I think back, were you talking about AI a year ago?
Maybe it's just
barely
on the surface level, but to your point,
about it a little
hearing
bit.
about, but now
every day.
I put my kids in the AI camp this summer.
Right.
Because
for you.
I'm telling you, you have to know this. And
you have to.
We're listening to a podcast right now about AI, and I have them listen to it. I'm like, you guys have to understand how to use this tool, because you're right. If you're not sitting at that table, you're probably on the menu.
Yeah.
And that's, you can sit back and be afraid of that, or you can actually get involved and go to some of these platforms and read and educate yourself and start playing with it.
Yeah, I forget the gentleman's name. They call him the godfather of AI from Google. He was just on the Diary of a CEO.
That's the podcast I was listening to. That's the one up still right now.
Yeah.
I probably put it up. I had it on this morning.
Yeah.
And he's talking. This I forgot his name.
Should be a plumber.
He said, "Be a plumber." He said, "Be a plumber." And what he's saying, if you heard it, we're probably 10 years away from the super intelligence that we're creating, and what happens when we're no longer the apex, predator.
Right.
Not that we can get way out. That is a whole nother podcast episode. Maybe we'll do something about that.
The Terminator movies were successful for a reason, right?
And it's something that you have to start to really. It can no longer be way on left field. This thing is here and it's not going anywhere, and you need to embrace it, in my opinion. And I think, from what you guys are doing, just at a company level, obviously there's a lot of ways you can embrace this on a personal level. But I encourage everybody to get involved and look into it.
Yeah, I have 2 VPs that report in with me, Justin London and Nick Priich. Justin runs all the operations. Nick is kind of the VP of innovation and customer experience. So he also has the safety team and the learning team, and they're pushing the envelope with AI. They're making sure their teams are learning and using it on a regular basis, including, if there's a job opening, we want to walk through, like, how could AI prevent us from backfilling this role? Can we find an AI solution that will help prevent us from backfilling?
Yeah.
So it's that important.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt. I want to wrap up with a question for you. If you put yourself back in the shoes of that, I don't know how you were when you were the janitor, your first kind of 18 years old, and give a message to the folks that may be in the audience. Maybe they're not a janitor, but maybe they're kind of just getting into this industry, or you can't quite see the future. What advice would you give them to how they should be focused on the next 5-10 years of growth in this industry, and what you should be paying attention to? How to navigate some of the challenges you've overcome to get to where you are today?
Yeah, I appreciate that question. I think that's a tricky one, because the speed at which things are happening.
Yeah.
I think the advice I would give to someone at that point early on in their career is, you always have to be in a learning mode. When you're asked if you want to do something different or learn something, say yes.
Mm-hmm.
Embrace it, even if it makes you uncomfortable. If it makes you uncomfortable, it's probably a good thing. If you're not challenging yourself to do different, and whether it's hooking up a set of doubles, whether it's, learning AI, whether it's going on a joint sales call, like things that make you uncomfortable will probably make you better, but you have to embrace that discomfort.
Yeah.
You have to be willing to get uncomfortable, but you better be learning all the time. The future of our world is robots. An autonomous truck will pull up to your door.
Mm-hmm.
A robot will offload it.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll use AI overlay for OCR, optical character recognition. We'll scan it in.
Yep.
And robots will segregate it, sort it out. A robot will load it onto a delivery pod of a vehicle, and an autonomous vehicle will take it to its destination. If you don't know robotics, you don't know technology, you don't understand it, you can't have a reasonable conversation about it, you're doing yourself a disservice.
Mm-hmm.
That is going to happen. Walmart's doing it. Amazon's doing it. Drones are delivering for Walmart and for Amazon. More coming. So that is going to be our future. Now we have to figure that out and understand driverless vehicles. That is a reality today, and many people don't want to believe it, but it's happening today.
When we walk outside of here, I was in the studio yesterday. You're going to see a Waymo pass right up. It's no longer coming. It's here.
There will be an electric vehicle without a driver. There are now on the interstates.
Yeah, no doubt.
So in the U.S., that's real time today.
Yeah.
And more of that is coming.
Yeah. Well, George, I appreciate you being here on the podcast. It's so many different nuggets you shared today. A phenomenal career.
Moving boxes.
Yeah.
Just moving boxes. That's all I'm doing. I'm still moving boxes.
You know what's funny about that?
I still take the trash out.
Yeah, and take the trash out too. But what's funny about that is when I first got in this industry, and people we would say I'm in the courier industry. Like, what? You're in the what?
Right.
And you say, well, I've moved packages. Like, that sounds very simple. Like, and now you see, 20-some years later, it's fascinating. It's leading the conversations, the innovations. It is truly remarkable what's happening.
Well, kudos to you. I have so much fun watching the podcast, and if people are in this business, have been in it for a while, you suddenly become this logistics nerd, and it's fascinating to see how it's done.
Yeah. And
you go into a warehouse or a fulfillment or distribution center, it's like you're super it's interesting. It's to me, it's fascinating.
Yeah.
I'm always excited about what's next, and I've enjoyed conversations. Great meet. I appreciate what you're doing for the industry.
Thank you.
I'm meeting people through you now that they're helping me better understand what we're doing. So it's a good thing.
Awesome. Well, thanks for being on, man. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
All right, that was Mr. George Shultz, COO of Fetch Package. I hope you listened in because he's talking about the past, the present, and the future. And so if you're in this industry and you want to kind of up your game and go from last to first, check out this podcast episode. I'm Jason Burns, and we're out. Thank you.